Good morning and good afternoon to some of you. Somewhere it's always morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. We did not have a show yesterday, so this is our wrap-up show for the weekend. We have several things to look forward to. We have the NFL championships tomorrow. So good luck to the remaining 4 teams. And if you're watching, I hope you enjoy. I'm wearing the team of my favorite team, who is in the more of a turmoil than in contention, like a number of teams out there. So Joe Cap, I recently watched a YouTube video of Joe Cap, who played at the University of California, and he was an inspirational figure. So let's move on. I'm going to share our screen, see how things ended for the week. We're in a little bit of a correction. As people await more data coming in, some of the tech stocks are trending down now. They look like they're developing a handle. I'll take a look at some that I think will may take off again. We don't know, but we'll look into that. As you can see, most of the tech stocks were down. Tesla, which had cascaded down over 12%, was up slightly. Amazon was up. Some of the oil companies continued up. I'll look at a couple that I pegged in, and that is a look at the heat map. And then as we always start our show, let me share the annuities, where I think 85 to 90% of people should be in, so they have no fear in the market. You have no fear of losing money. Your money always trends up, will not come down from here, and it will go up another step, will not come down. As you can see, it beats index investing by about 5%. Index investing can lose money as it wobs and weaves with the marketplace. 2008, S&P 500 went down 50%. So a lot of people like to say their 401ks turned into a 201k, and with an annuity, you do not risk this. So that's the story there. They do this by giving you a big front bonus and giving you interest combined with investments in the markets of bond interest and stocks. So there you have it. Let's bring up our charts. This is a chart of Scott St. Clair shared on MarketSmith. And so as you can see, this has gone up quite a bit. This is a financial company down in Argentina. So let's take a look at what the US dollar ended up on Friday. Was up slightly, pretty close to where it ended on Thursday. I guess it was up 2 cents after hours. Closed with no gain during regular hours. See what gold did. Gold continues to be in a slightly bearish area, down 13 cents. Silver tried to move up, hit its head on the 20-day moving average and pulled back a little bit. Copper was down about 4 cents. I did not like, I am keeping a tight leash on all the issues, so I did sell this, and with a number of other issues. So let's take a look at Southern Copper. Southern Copper had a pullback as well. Freeport-McMoRan was up slightly, up 15 cents. Vale finally got above the 200-day moving average again, up a little over 2%. Rio is up above all of its major trend lines, which is a positive, up nearly 1% on Friday. And BHP in Australia, where they're working on the US Open winners this weekend. I believe the women, I'm not sure who won the women's, but we'll have a brand new champion in the men's division, as Mr. Djokovic got bounced out in four sets. So there we have look at the metals markets. Let's take a look at what our bond yields did. Bonds sold off initially and then bounced back, did not reach a new short-term high, but it is above the 50-day moving average. Looks a little like a cup with a handle, so we'll see where that goes from here. The 20-year yield bounced a little bit as well, up 0.27%. The VIX has kind of hit a short-term target right now. I believe it was 13, was going to pull back to 1397, which was AJ Monte's kind of target. Now he's projecting that it'll move up to 1410 from this pullback. His medium-term target is 1811, and his long-term target, I believe, is 4112. He's thinking that the recession could possibly pull back markets 50%. So we'll have to take a look at that and see. So let's take a look at it. Put together this PowerPoint for the weekend here. A lot of focus has been on the Magnificent Seven. I think it would be the Magnificent Six right now, as Tesla is falling out of bed. And a lot of people, some people are suggesting that they replace it with a biotech Lilly. So we'll take a look at that a little later. We had the Nifty 50 back in the 60s and early 70s. IBM, Sears, General Electric, Eastman Kodak, Procter & Gamble, Merck, Dow Chemical, Xerox, and Coca-Cola. Interesting, IBM is starting to become a little more relevant again. This is from AJ Monte's Sticky Trades. This is a checklist to help you determine whether the market is going to go up or down. This is a bullish bearish engulfing candle, bullish bearish harami, bullish bearish shooting star, bullish inverted hammer, or a bearish hanging man, stale green or red light. This is when the index trends up maybe 6-7 days in a row, or down 7 days in a row. You know a change is coming. Volume up or down compared to the trend. 20-day simple moving average divergence. Gaps, will there be a gap fill above or below the market? Stochastics, how are the stochastics trending, up or down? CCI, commodity channel index, overbought, oversold, buy or sell signal, crossover, or zero line up or down. A roll reversal. So these are all check marks. And if you have more on the green side, you're bullish and you think the index will trend up from there. Or if you have more on the red side, then you're bearish and you think there's a change coming in the market. So with that news, let's move on. The IWM has not had a new high in 2.5 years. So there are some stocks that are favorable in the small cap index, but as the index as a whole, it does not look good. So before we move on to discuss the IWM further, the Dow Jones AJ Monte believes that we're going to move up to 385.23. It may happen next week. We'll have to see. On the small cap IWM, he thinks it's going to be a pullback to a 191.58. As you can see, volume on the selling is coming down. Now on there's a divergence from the volume on the selling. As you can see, it's pulling down. There's a wide gap in these two lines, so it makes sense it would be coming down, and it looks like we got this trending down here. So the stochastics and the CCI look like we're going to have a pullback in the IWM here as the market continues to pull back and some leading issues. QQQ, AJ feels that it's going to pull back to 409.53. And as you can see, both the stochastics and the CCR are pulling backwards, and volume has a little bit of divergence as volume on the selling has fallen off. So it's possible we could have an early move up and then a move down on Monday. And then we move to the S&P 500. His target is 479.14. You can see we have it trending down on the CCI and the stochastics here. And so that leads you to believe that there's going to be a pullback there. Now, a lot of people are talking about there's going to be a reduction in interest rates moving forward, and that excites people for a bull market. But let's look at some things that do not look so well, that continue to look for a recession in the works, and it may have already started. Delinquency spike, banks are granting fewer credit lines, Fed analysts warn. And Bank of America is one of the leading. In fear of defaults, banks are turning down new credit lines at alarming rates. And now credit card interest rates are above 20%, right around 21.47. This was what kind of started the 2008 crisis, started in 2007. This is the highest rate it's been since 2007. Credit card debt has surpassed $1 trillion. And personal interest payments have crossed 500 billion. So people are living off of their credit cards right now. And to make things worse, personal savings rate at a historical low level of 4.1%, and 1/3 of all Americans earning 150,000 or more are still living paycheck to paycheck. So let's take a look. Inflation, they say, has come down some, although it trended up in December. We were waiting what it looked like in January for the latest PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditures Index. But this could lead to some higher inflation. Ships crossing through the Panama Canal Zone have dropped to an all-time low, getting close to where they were in the panic in 2000. So we continue to watch that with the problems that are happening in the Red Sea area. Boots on the ground. This is East Coast Costco, and look at all of this empty space here. So it could be starting to cause a ripple on the East Coast, and if so, this could cause inflation for a lack of goods for all the buyers who want to buy. 700,000 truckers estimated to participate in a convoy to protest across several states, and mainly the three areas where illegal immigration is coming over the border. And along with this, somebody on Twitter, now known as X, illegal immigrant on the border, you will know who I am. Just wait. You could go to Sticky Trades on YouTube and you could watch the video. He's a terrorist, and now he's into this country due to the southern border being wide open. They aren't sending their tired, hungry, and poor. He says, "You will hear from me soon." Um, so if that happens, the markets could react very negatively. So I just want to keep everybody in the loop what is possibly happening out there. So let's share our screen and go back to Market Smith. We left off with the volatility index. Take a look at the IWM, look further about where we haven't had a new high in 2.5 years. Let's take a look at the weekly. This is the previous high about in 2021. And you can see it's trending down. We would need to get right around 230 in order to hit a new high. And right now we're at 195.98. Nowhere Man by the Beatles might be aptly titled for small cap index. Take a look at RSP, how it performed on Friday. This is equal weight. S&P 500 was up a little over 1%. And this is the equal weight on the NASDAQ, was up 0.53%. Let's see. Not sure why that didn't want to come up. Oh, because it doesn't come up on the weekly. It only comes up on the daily. This is the New York Stock Exchange daily average. As you can see, it's uptrending pretty strongly. This is a simple moving average. So it's currently above its simple moving average. Here's the Dow Jones. Has moved up significantly. S&P 500. And let's take a look at the NASDAQ. It has moved up here some, but right now it has gone below its moving average, and right now it's right at its moving average. The Amex looks very similar to the Russell small cap index. And then here's the NASDAQ. So let's take a look at the news that happened on Friday. I got the news right up here. Just take a look what was leading. Sector news breakdown. Auto Live, Q4 adjusted EPS 374 versus 327. Got a big move up, 104% earnings, gapped up, and it sold near the close, but it was still up nearly 3%. Levi Strauss moved up and then sold off, closed near the low. Q4 EPS 44 cents versus 43 cents. Revenues 1.64 billion versus estimate 1.66 billion. Still, earnings were up 29% over the previous quarter. Tesla removed from the Wedbush Best Ideas list, BIL, due to investment price discipline. It was up slightly, but it fell about 12% the previous day. Moving on to energy, industrial, and materials. Level 3 Harris Technologies kind of looks good. Is working on a base. It looked like we got a little early breakout. Up 2.65%, 2 days of increasing volume. Earnings were up about 2% over previous quarter from the year earlier. Olin Corp, Q4 EPS 43 cents versus 19 cents. Gap up, even though earnings were down 70%. Closed in the middle of its range, up over 6.5%. Weyerhaeuser, Q4 adjusted EPS 16 cents versus 17 cents. Sold off hard and then fought back at the end. The volume was pretty strong on a negative standpoint. On to financials, Capital One Financial broke out. Earnings were negative 21%. They're $2.24 versus $2.64. I guess they thought there were going to be worse news. So volume has been pretty strong as they're breaking out of this consolidation and moving higher. Visa, Q1 adjusted EPS $2.41 versus $2.34. Did not meet expectations, I guess. Revenues 8.6 billion versus 8.53, and it sold off and then tried to fight back, bounced off the 20-day moving average. Amaris Bancorp, Q4 adjusted EPS $1.07 versus $1.10. It didn't really move too much, down 0.06%. 262.35 million versus estimate of 264.66 million. Fair Isaac, Q1 adjusted EPS $4.81 versus $5.06. Sold off hard. People did not like that news at all. Closed below its 20-day moving average. Some people use the 20-day moving average as a sell signal. As it closes below that, their earnings came in at 13%. Massive selling volume. So that's the story there. Federated Homes, Q4 adjusted EPS 96 cents versus 83 cents. And people did like that news. I'm not sure why this is. Oh, I got the wrong ticker symbol. Sorry about that, folks. This is Federated. It bounced up on 52% EPS beat to up 2.27%. Pretty good volume here. And finally, Western Alliance in the banking area, Q4 EPS $1.91 versus $1.88. This is one of the banks in trouble earlier last year, and negative 20% EPS, but nice big blue bar here, up nearly 2.5%. On to healthcare. $53.3 million share IPO priced at $13. Was up big time before, and now it sold off down to $11. CVRX EPS was a loss of 44 cents versus a loss of 54 cents. Moved up and then sold off. CT Therapeutics sold off initially and then was up 1.46%. Shares initially dropped from the Committee for Medicinal Products for Human Use. European Medicine Agency issued a negative opinion following a re-examination procedure for conditional marketing of authorization of Translama. Sagament Biosciences, $9 million share secondary, priced at $12.50. People do not like to be diluted normally. and it looks like it's trying to fill the gap, down nearly 24%. On the technology, media, and telecom, Intel sells off on their forward guidance. Their EPS was 54 cents versus 45-cent estimates, but the forward guidance was weak, and so this accounts for the big sell-off. KLA 10 core adjusted EPS $6.16 versus $5.91. I think their guidance was a little weak, so we had a big sell-off. T-Mobile Q4 EPS $1.67 versus $1.90, a little less than what people expected. Still, their earnings were up 19%. So sold off after trying to break out and then kind of close in the lower part of its range. Western Digital had a Q2 EPS loss of 69 cents versus estimated loss of $1.13. Still, it sold off, down 3.5%. I think possibly the guidance wasn't as popular as had hoped for. Appfolio had a big jump. Q4 adjusted EPS 88 cents versus 72 cents. 171.83 million. Revenue versus estimate of 162.71. A massive moonshot here as it breaks out from this downward trend, up 28%. So I wanted to take a look at a couple more stocks. We'll see if we're not sure if that is the end of our news. Yeah, that's the last of our news. So I wanted to, there was a couple of other issues that really jumped yesterday. Vera Therapeutics continued its strong move after breaking out the previous day. Freedom Holding made a response to a major short seller, and their stock popped on that news. American Superconductor continued its strong move after its 111% earnings increase. Bread Financial continued its big strong move up, kind of broke out of this consolidation. Netflix continued its move after earnings came out. It's getting close to the green profit zone up here. And take a look. See if there's any other. This was a big mover as well. Corbus Pharmaceuticals up 250%. And their target for 12 months is around $50. Wouldn't jump into this. I would kind of see what the trend kind of develops here. Digital World continues to kind of try to consolidate after this huge move here. This is Trump's is trying to merge into this company, and another conservative kind of like news group said they are not going to kick people off the platform, I guess. And on Trump showing, I guess this has jumped quite a bit. And now they're kind of consolidating over here. And this is an issue in Japan. Fanuc had a big jump. I guess it was previous day. I think it jumped up and then it must have sold off towards the end of the day. It was down 0.70%. And let me see if we have any other issues that were strong. And then we'll kind of look at our focus list. We looked at Autolive in the news. Gentex moved up big on 35% earnings increase, getting close to the breakout. It broke out of this consolidation. It has been moving up, had a slight pullback. When something moves up really big, a lot of times they have a 50% retracement, and then before they continue to move there. Lennox International earnings in 4 days had a lot of volume, moved up a little over 1%. We looked at Netflix, Airbnb, getting close to a breakout. We had this 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks tight, broke out of that consolidation. So that could be an early buy area, up a little over 5%. The Bank Corp had a big move over here. So we had 1, 2, had a little bit of a selling before its earnings and big volume on once their earnings were reported, up 34%. Stride, big online curriculum for kindergarten to 12th graders, moved up slightly, up 1.48%, and then continued after hours, up another 1.5%. Pinterest, earnings in 12 days, gapped up and then closed on its low. Had a number of days tight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, we had this sell off here, pretty low volume, which is what you kind of want to look forward to. We're going to take a look at another issue, and then this is Hong Kong issue that we're trying to get into, trying to keep our losses low. So anytime it went over 1.5% decline, we got out, and then we got in right over here, felt it was going to make its move, and sure enough, it was up 10% on Friday, and we'll just see if it can break out here. It's getting pretty close to the breakout. It did touch this area and then it pulled back on Friday. So that's that, and that's all that we're looking at. And now we're going to look at some issues. So this is Elastic, been a strong, powerful winner, gapped up here, hasn't violated the gap. Like I've many times said, long as it doesn't break below the gap, should be safe. tried to break out here. We got into it and felt like it was going to be a pullback, so we got completely out of the stock. May pull back to the 20-day moving average. You can see when a stock gets so far extended from its 50-day moving average, there's a risk of a pullback. So you just draw an arrow here. And when the good thing is, see, you got all this volume when it jumped, all this buying volume. And then when it pulled back, it quiets down. And this really shows that professional money managers are nibbling at the stock when it's selling off. And then the buying starts to come back, stronger buying, breakout, pretty strong. And now when it's sold off, really low volume again. So we'll just have to see what it does next week. But there's a number of pullbacks. I completely sold out of Kava. Felt it was going to have a strong pullback. Pullback to its 10-day. Has it bounced from the 20-day? We don't know that yet. It's been trending down on days. I'm going to wait for positive move up. I did buy 200 shares and then bought 45.50 to 50 spread in case it does move, and we'll just continue to watch that. But volume on this selling has been relatively muted. It's nothing compared to above volume over here. So this is continuing education to kind of watch on. And the other thing you kind of have to watch on, if it moves up strongly on low volume, that's what you call wedging, and a pullback may be ahead. So it had moved up, broke out of on pretty good volume, and then the volume kind of receded. So the buyers were slackening off, and so a pullback did in fact happen. So on this day when it had a kind of a strong pullback, you see the red arrow here. I did take 500 shares and sell them on this little uptick here, and then I sold the rest of it right around here. And then on this move up again, I figured I'd get back and buy 200 shares. So that is that issue. And then the other big market mover was SMCI. Big move up. I did sell on Friday. So I bought at 330 and went up to 474, I think. Might have been 25. I sold that. So I made a 55% return. So I figured I'll just kind of watch this from now on. We've talked about this several times. Initially bought it 100 shares at 70. Right around possibly this day, either this previous day or this day, and then it sold it at 325, and then bought it at 330 and sold it at up in the around 470, around 475. So we'll just kind of wait until earnings. Earnings are in 2 days. Here is Globant. I think I may take a position on it on Monday. Small position. If it breaks out above, I believe it's 240. Right above this line. If it breaks above here, I would add. And then if it breaks into this blue area at 250.49, I would add again. So on this sale down, you can see the volume on selling is low. When it moves up, we've got these blue spikes here. The red spike here is lower than on the two blue volume, so that's what you want to see. And then all the other days are pretty muted. This is IPO, has been pretty volatile. Did break out here and then it sold off strong. And so we got out of it with, I think, a 1.5% loss. We wanted to keep our losses low as possible. We'll continue to watch this, see if it moves above 25 area, but it is pretty volatile and hard to stay in it at the moment. So I'm going to take a look at a couple of, I'm going to look at some cheap, the best cheap stocks in the market. Be a quick scan through them. This is 8x8, a Santa Clara company. It's got some really tight base here. At a high of 392. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row tight, and it looked like it bounced about 2% on Friday. Janus International manufactures turnkey self-storage building solutions. 8x8 is a internet-based phone company, by the way. Janus International broke out. We've got a lot of blue bars here. Now it's forming a consolidation right around 14. DHT, Marine Transportation Services for dry bulk, crude oil and petroleum products, has moved up. It is a little tight area here. I guess around 1146 might be a place to put an initial buy at it. We'll take a look at this is a company I bought right over here, and then it surged on Friday. Provides tanker services. Let's see, I believe ET is another one I bought right on this here. So it's moved up 2 days in a row. Let's see, go back and another company in this area. Taking a quick little detour from our cheap stock, so just hold in there. This is another one in the same area, which has moved up. This is why I like to throw front line. So then we got TK. Not sure why it went there, but go back to Fro. You can look at other ones in the same area. Torm, this UK tanker company, moved up quite a bit. And this is another version of TK tankers. It broke out a slight pullback and then moved higher. As you can see, all these blue bars here. Okay, now let's go back to our list. BGC, Global Brokerage Company, Nomura Holdings, NMR, had a pretty big move there. Arcos Dorados Holdings, Argentine operator of McDonald's broke out and is moving higher. Wisdom Tree might be something to put on your watch list. It's like they're building a cup with a handle. See if it can move up on some strong volume. Telefonica Brazil broke out and now it's having a little bit of a pullback as it tries to get above its 20-day moving average. And Itaú Unibanco ADR. And then there is another company in United Kingdom. Just want to bring up, it's relatively low cost. I put in the wrong ticker symbol. As we can see, it broke out. I bought this at 15, I believe it was 15 even on Thursday night after the market closed, and this moved up pretty strong. It was above 16 at one point. Then I had a little bit of pullback, so I did pull back into the zone. Earnings up 3,338% this year. UK-based provider of payment processing, digital wallet, and online cash solutions. So, and now one more. So this is Jim Roppel, Roppel Investment Management. These are the 29 items in his stock. I'm only going to go through the top 10. CrowdStrike, which has been the leader in this market. I've profiled this many a times, about a $155 option. Got shaken out right around here. And then it's just run up here. We got a little bit of a consolidation with a pullback in tech right now. As you can see, it got a little bit extended from its 50-day moving average. This is when you normally get the pullbacks. Number 2 is NVIDIA. A little bit of a pullback there. It broke out as we came into the new year. Strong volume on January 5th. No, I believe it's January 8th. January 8th. And it's now crossed 600. It is in the profit zone. Netflix, which we watched earlier today. Mercado Libre. I guess this is the Amazon of South America. Broke out over here. Now it is broken out of the blue zone here, up $57 on Friday. Also in the security software area, same as CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, up 0.66 on Friday, continues to do well. It's above the profit-taking zone. Zscaler, which is in our portfolio, we have taken some profits as this tech pullback. This one, you can also see a big difference from the 50-day moving average. We bought this at 177.50 with an option, and then converted the option when it has successfully moved higher. ANET, which is a big data center networking company, kind of profiting off the AI, broke out over here, and it has not looked back yet. Meta Platforms is number 8. We sold that at 392. We thought it was getting a little extended. We'll see how we feel once it gets closer to February 1st, I believe is when, yeah, the earnings are in 5 days. We may buy an option just to see if it'll pop on earnings or pull back. Well, generally, if the option is around 4%, cost, then we'll go into that. ServiceNow had its earnings come out, and it sold off on its earnings a little bit, but it is staying pretty tight. 3 weeks tight here now. No, 3 days tight. I'm sorry. Let's see. Maybe we only got a 1 week tight. Let's just take a look at this. Now we got 3 weeks moving up in a row. And finally, Pinterest moved up. What are some of the other names on the list? We're not going to look at them as we conclude our show for the week. We have Workday, Datadog, Cloudflare. Cloudflare, I guess we can take a look at it. Popped up the other day, and now it is pulling back. It looks like a cup with handle is forming. I guess you could say that this is a double bottom. And in the biotech area is Novo Nordisk. So that's going to be our show for today. We'll look at the ETFs again on Monday. Hope everybody has a great weekend and go out there and make a difference. Keep working on your goals and your activities. If you have any financial goals or activities you want to talk about, feel free to reach out to us. Have a great day.